a roller coaster, a merry-go-round, a haunted house. In the opening moments of Ron Howard's 1989 film Parenthood, a young boy's fever dream of a carnival becomes more than a set piece. It is the film's entire thesis, presented not as a metaphor to be decoded later, but as the raw emotional truth of its subject. This is a film that begins in anxiety and never really leaves it because its subject, the raising of children, is itself a state of perpetual, loving worry. Parenthood doesn't offer answers. Instead, it constructs a sprawling, interconnected portrait of family life that feels less like a story and more like a living ecosystem, one where joy and despair are not opposites, but constant companions. The film's genesis is almost as familial as its plot. Screenwriters Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel, coming off the success of Splash, were inspired by their own experiences as new fathers. They crafted a script that was initially deemed too soft by some studios in an era dominated by high-concept action and broad comedies. It was Ron Howard, himself a father and a product of a showbiz family, who saw the potential in its quiet, observant humanity. Howard's direction is deceptively simple, prioritizing performance and emotional authenticity over stylistic flourish. A key piece of production trivia involves the film's structure. The original cut was significantly longer, featuring more of the grandparents' generation. The final edit, a masterclass in narrative economy, focuses the lens on the four adult Buckman siblings, allowing their parallel struggles to echo and inform one another, creating a rich tapestry of middle-class American life in the late 80s. At the center is Gil Buckman, played with a career-best blend of comedy and pathos by Steve Martin. Gil is the archetype of the anxious modern parent. He reads the books, attends the workshops, and is haunted by the fear that his own father's emotional distance has doomed him to repeat the cycle. His arc is not about becoming a perfect father, but about learning to tolerate the beautiful imperfection of it all. His journey is mirrored and refracted through his siblings. Ellen, a single mother grappling with her teenage daughter's sexuality and her son's silent withdrawal, embodies the loneliness of holding a family together alone. Susan, whose picture-perfect marriage to the uptight Nathan is cracking under the pressure of hyperachievement parenting, explores the tyranny of expectations. And Larry, the charming, irresponsible black sheep, represents the fear of never growing up, of being a perpetual child oneself. The film's most profound insight is that parenthood is not a role one assumes, but a lens through which one is forced to re-examine one's entire life. Gil's crisis isn't just about his son's potential learning disabilities, it's a confrontation with his own childhood ghosts, represented by his emotionally stunted father, Frank. Frank, played with gruff poignancy by Jason Robards, is the film's tragic anchor. His lament, you need a license to buy a dog, to drive a car, hell, you even need a license to catch a fish, but they'll let any butt-reaming asshole be a father, is not a punchline but a cry of regret. It acknowledges the terrifying, unqualified leap of faith that parenthood requires, and the scars that can be left when that leap is taken poorly. This intergenerational perspective is what elevates Parenthood beyond a simple domestic comedy. It posits that we are all simultaneously the wounded child and the anxious parent. The film's emotional climax is not a single event, but a cascade of small reckonings. Helen connecting with her son through a cowboy fantasy, Susan and Nathan abandoning their rigid schedule to simply play, Gil finally seeing his father not as a monster, but as a flawed man who also tried his best. The much-discussed ending, with Gil embracing the chaotic roller coaster of life after a disastrous school play, is often mistaken for a simplistic choose joy message. But look closer. He doesn't choose the roller coaster times over the merry-go-round. He accepts that life contains both the nauseating plunges and the placid circles, and that the value is in the ride itself, in being present for all of it with the people you love. Technically, the film is a marvel of ensemble orchestration. Thomas Newman's score, with its plaintive piano and warm woodwinds, Avoid sentimentality, instead evoking a sense of wistful, bustling life. The editing seamlessly weaves between storylines, creating the feeling that we are peering into several homes on the same restless street. What makes Parenthood endure decades later is its radical honesty. It doesn't shy away from the dark corners: financial stress, marital resentment, the fear of your children failing or being hurt. Yet, it never succumbs to cynicism. It finds its warmth not in the absence of problems, but in the shared, weary, determined effort to face them. The film understands that family is not a refuge from the world's chaos, but the very epicenter of it. It is the first place we learn about love and conflict, success and failure, connection and loneliness. The Buckman household, in all its messy glory, becomes a microcosm for life itself. In an age of curated perfection and parental anxiety marketed as lifestyle, Parenthood remains a necessary corrective. It argues that the goal is not to build a flawless childhood for your children, but to survive the process with your humanity and theirs intact. The scrapes, the tears, the embarrassing school plays, the quiet moments of understanding, these are not obstacles on the path to happiness. They are the path. Ron Howard's film ultimately suggests that to be a parent is to consent to a story you cannot control, with characters who will constantly surprise and defy you. It is to live in a state of perpetual hopeful incompletion. The roller coaster doesn't end. The music of the merry-go-round doesn't stop. You simply learn, as Gil does, to stop white-knuckling the safety bar, to look at the faces beside you, and, against all better judgment, to throw your hands in the air. Thank you for watching until the end. We pour our passion into every single video essay, exploring the stories behind the movies we all love. If you stumbled upon this video by chance, there is a very high probability you might never see our channel again in your feed. So please take a moment to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and ring the bell. We are actively growing this community of cinema lovers, and your support is what helps us make our content better and more insightful every single day. Let's explore the magic of filmmaking together. See you in the next one.